Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Life's Good. My name's AJ, and this is my channel. I live in the northeast of England, and today I'm out in the greenhouse and I've got a few things I wanted to discuss with you in relation to buying and sowing your seeds for the coming season. I've seen a lot of videos and other media in relation to people saying, this is what you should be sowing now. This is what to grow in February. And I started to think, well, that doesn't necessarily relate to all of us. What somebody is sowing and planting and growing in, for example, Cornwall, Devon, Somerset, doesn't necessarily mean you'd be able to sow and grow that here in the northeast, i.e. Northumberland, Tyne and Wear, and so on. And certainly not up in the Pennines, on Dartmoor, or anywhere else where there's some altitude and the weather is somewhat cooler. So I just want to touch on the subject of climate zones. Now that all sounds a bit technical. Don't worry, it's not. And I'm not going to delve into everything about climate zones and how they were established and who they relate to around the globe and so on. But in relation to the UK, and it is fairly important if you want to sow and grow successfully. But if you're new to gardening and you want to grow some food or your fruit and vegetables, bits and pieces in your garden, and you think you'd like to have a go at that, all this information can be confusing. You've got somebody telling you to sow this, somebody's telling you to sow that, and you need to do this by this time and that by that time. And it can all be a bit overwhelming. At the end of the day, you just want to buy a packet of seeds, sow it, grow it, harvest it, and eat it. And that's the simplicity of it all. But with regard to the climate, here in the northeast, compared to the south of England, we have a saying that it's a top coat warmer down there. And what that means is that you might be in your t-shirt and your jumper out in your garden, and your daffodils are up and your snowdrops are over and your tulips are coming on. And here in the northeast, we're only just seeing our our snowdrops, and we're still wearing our warm jackets and thermal underwear and all that malarkey. So someone saying it's now time to sow whatever down there doesn't necessarily work up here. So I'm going to jump off the soapbox. I've drawn a very sketchy little map of the UK, and I was just going to sort of reiterate that in a more simplistic form to try and explain where we are in terms of zones or weather zones in the UK. So I'll just sort of swap places with you so you can see what I've got behind me here. Now this is an AJ attempt at representing the United Kingdom and Ireland there on the left. It's just a rough sketch, so please do not criticise my accuracy when it comes to cartography and geography, because this is very, very rough. Please, please, please do not make comments saying that was an awful picture of the UK, because I know it is. What I wanted to do was just demonstrate to you that, as you can see, that Scotland and England, and you've got Cornwall down here, Wales on the side here, Ireland over there, and sat in the middle is the Isle of Man, and some of the other islands around Scotland here. Now what I'm trying to describe or explain here is, you've all heard of the Gulf Stream, sometimes referred to as the conveyor, and that is a current of warm water, or a warm flowing current that flows from the Gulf of Mexico up the eastern seaboard of the United States of America and crosses the Atlantic and approaches the UK from this side. So from down here, it's flowing in this direction. Consequently, Ireland and this western seaboard, Wales, Cornwall, Devon, some of these southern counties, Dorset, for example, Somerset, Hampshire, the Isle of Wight, all of these zones are classed as number 9, zone number 9. They're represented by the red number 9. They are fairly warm compared to other zones. The higher the number, the warmer the zone. Now if you look down here, there's a number 10, around about the Scilly Isles and other areas down here. You're going a lot further south, remember, and that is a zone 10, which is, compared to us, considerably warmer. Zone 9 for Cornwall, all round here. Now the Gulf Stream approaches across or around Ireland and the Isle of Man and this area here, and it actually flows up and over the top of Scotland. And some of it flows down the other side and down towards the coast of sort of Northumberland, the borders here, and the eastern seaboard of the UK. But it's just the coastal area that is fractionally warmed by this warm water. And it does get represented as a zone 9. Although, where we are, just inland and inside Northumberland and the hills here, and certainly down through, you've got Cumbria over on the left with the fells there, and the Pennines, and all these high regions and the Highlands of Scotland and all there, the higher ground is much colder at zone 7. We are zone 8, and all this area down the middle of the country is zone 8. Now that's considerably colder than Wales and Cornwall and Devon and all these areas. So when somebody down here is saying it's time to plant A, B and C, up here you've actually got a few more weeks leeway, certainly a good few days leeway, unless there are some changes in the climate. If it is particularly warm and we are having a really nice warm spell, you can actually bring your sowing and growing forward a little bit. So I just wanted to let you know that these are the various zones around the UK, and the lower the number, the colder the zone. They are represented by colours. If you Google them or look on your search engine or on the internet or whatever, and look up weather zones or climate zones, particularly the UK climate zones, you'll get a lot of information on these weather and climate zones that are represented right around the globe. So here in the UK, just to recap, over here is warmer. The high ground in the middle is colder, and then you get these more temperate areas sort of running through the centre of the country and more towards the east of the country, with a little bit of influence on the outer coast, on the fringes. I popped out this morning and I've been buying seeds and other bits and pieces that I need for the coming season. Not everything that needs to go in now, but in readiness for the coming weeks and months. And I've purchased various herbs and vegetables and flowers that I'm going to be using to grow this coming season. In addition to the new purchases, I still have my little pot of seeds left over from previous years. Most of this is left over from last year. There are some seeds in here left over from the previous year. Now, if you're going to be saving and using these seeds the following season, just make a note on the back of the packet. It tells you either the year it's been sown by, the year in which it was packaged, I should say, but it also gives you a sow by as well. So basically it's the viability of the seed and the likelihood of it germinating. So if you're going to use old seed, make sure it's not too old, because you may have disappointments. I've had people give me packets of seeds, said that we had these last year, we didn't use them, perhaps you can use them, AJ. Fantastic. So I take them home, and when I look at the packet, they're years out of date, and I'm really not going to spend time and effort and compost and all those things trying to grow a seed that's probably, in all likelihood, not going to grow. So old seed's great, providing it's still in date and likely to be viable. New seed purchasing can be expensive. As a person new to gardening, you could be standing in the shop looking at a big display of seeds thinking, what on earth's going on here? You've got all these different manufacturers, all these different styles of packaging, various pricing. You can spend a lot of money on seeds or you can buy them cheaply. It's entirely up to you, and at the end of the day, most of it will germinate and grow. You won't have any worries buying a 29p packet of seed as compared to a £1.50 packet of seed for the identical plant. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things here now. Seed packets, these ones I bought all mine this morning. I purchased all mine from Wilkinson's, and you look at your packets, on the back they have a little chart. It's color coded, it's got some information on here. It will tell you when you can sow, when you can plant out, and when you're likely to harvest. In terms of the zone that we've just mentioned, these charts will give you a range. So they can say, for example here, sow indoors between. Well, you can sow this. What is this? This is coriander. You can sow this indoors all year round. If you want to plant it outdoors, you sow it between March and June. That gives you that 3 months or more covering over between the zones. So you might plant these outdoors in March in Cornwall, but you wouldn't plant these outside, or sow these I should say, outside here in the northeast. It's too cold. The ground hasn't warmed up. They will not germinate up here in March. Down there they might, but not up here. So there is your sort of window of opportunity, if you like to call it that, for sowing these. So between March and June, when the soil is ready, you can sow. It's the same with all of these. The flowers, I've got some little Leo sunflowers. Okay, on the back here it says you can sow them outdoors between March and May. I won't be sowing these outdoors now. It's February, nearly March. I'm not going to be in a hurry to sow these outdoors. I might consider sowing them in pots or containers or trays or something in the greenhouse, and then planting them out when the weather warms up. But I would not consider sowing these direct in the ground up here now. We've only just had the snow and ice clear. The ground in my garden, for example, is cold and it's wet, but it's not suitable for sowing delicate seeds. They will not germinate very well at all, and you will be disappointed. So bear in mind these windows of opportunity are there as a guide on the back of the packet, whatever you fancy growing, be it flowers, veggies or whatever, between March and May in this case. So here I will be looking at April before I start considering planting some of these outside. Earlier in the greenhouse, it's protected in here. So many things. I bought myself some shallots again. We grew those last year. Lovely, like shallots. Potatoes. I got a big bag of Charlotte I think I bought this morning. Yes, I got a bag of shallots here. I will need to chip these before they go anywhere, and that's a case of putting them out on trays in the greenhouse, I would imagine here, and allowing them to start shooting before I put them anywhere, containers or in the ground, whatever I do this year. I have to chip these before I use them. Videos forthcoming on how to do that, everybody, so don't panic. I'm not going to try and cover everything in today's video, but all of these things I'm fetching together and looking at getting ready to sow and grow later in the season. What I wanted to say was, some of these packets of seeds, you've got a small garden, you buy a packet of seeds, there can be 150 seeds in one of these packets, 200 seeds. and you sow them in a tray, what do you do with all those plants? You've only got a small plot. You can only accommodate so many cabbages, so many turnips, so many Swedes, so many whatevers. So you're not going to use every single seed. And if you're on a budget, buying lots of different packets at £1 each can soon mount up. Now Cheryl was out shopping the other day and she found these 2 little packs. And I saw these when she brought them home and I thought, brilliant. If you want to have a go at growing some vegetables, you've never done it before, you've got a small plot of land, you don't need lots of big packets of hundreds of seeds. One of these costs the same as one of these. That's about £1. That was £1. There's 6 different varieties in this one. There's only 1 in here. I'm showing you flowers, but actually these are vegetables. Now, £1. Kale, £1 for a packet of 250 seeds on average in there. You don't need 250 kale plants when your plot's only 20 foot square. Do you? So, if you buy one of these packs, and there's 2 packs here, they've got an assortment of vegetables in. You don't get as many seeds, but you get enough to grow enough food that you can have at home in a small garden. Now this one's got beetroot, tomatoes, radishes, peppers and chilies in it. A little bit specialist maybe with the chilies and so on. This one's a good one. I like this one. This has got courgette, carrot, onion growing from seed, beetroot, broccoli and cabbage. 6 really good vegetables that you can grow at home for about £1. And you get a selection of seeds of each of those, enough for you to grow a good quantity of veg. £1 for that, or £1 for a little pack of one thing only. You do the math, it's a no-brainer. If I was new to gardening and wanted to grow a few vegetables in a small plot, that's the way I would go. You don't need fancy brand names and loads of packets of expensive seed. Get your family to buy you one for Mum's Day. Here you go, Mother's Day. Buy her a packet of seeds. I'm sure she'd be impressed with that. Look, guys, I've whittled on, all right? But I'm getting ready for the coming season. It's a lot colder up here than it is down south. Do not be panicked or worried by the fact that some people are doing whatever they're doing now and telling you to do the same. You don't necessarily have to, especially if you're in a cooler zone. Well, I hope all that wasn't a bit too much for you. I hope it was interesting. I hope it's made sense. And as far as the zones are concerned, before you start throwing seed into the ground and wasting it, just check. Where are you in the country? Whereabouts are you? What are you trying to grow? When's the best time to sow it? Okay, well it says March, but it's pretty cold and horrible here at the moment, so I'll wait a couple of weeks. Let it warm up, let the soil warm up, let everything settle down, and away you go. I'm going to have to go. I could talk all afternoon. I haven't got time for that, and you are not going to sit there and listen to me all afternoon. Come back and see us soon. And if you haven't subscribed before, hit the button in the corner. Subscribe to the channel. We cover all sorts here. I know some of you were waiting for another video from the pub under the stairs. I'm sorry to disappoint, but sowing and growing is taking precedence today. However, I will tease you and say that I've just acquired a cerveza kit, which I am going to be using as a demonstration kit to show you the basics of my homebrew. That's another story, that's another video, and that's coming in a few weeks' time. So just to tease you, just to let you know, cerveza, basic equipment, basic homebrewing, making a beer. That's coming soon. We look forward to seeing you again soon, and whatever you're doing, you stay safe, look after each other, and we'll see you again soon in the Life's Good. Bye bye now.